What's up, everybody? Dead Girl here. I hope you guys are all having an amazing Wednesday. Joining me today is a good friend of ours. He is an artist, he's a fabricator, he's a man of all kinds of talents, our friend Wayne Lukash.
Evening. How's it going?
Good, good. Now, for those that may not be familiar with you or your work, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an artist, sculptor, painter, do a little bit of everything, and I've been doing it professionally for about 15 years. Um, Kind of been messing around making stuff though my whole life.
Nice. Now, how did you get into this? Is it something that you just kind of, I know a lot of artists that I talk to, they've played around with like drawing first and then they get into doing other things. What kind of sparked this passion for you?
So I used to love like sitting in front of the TV when I was younger and kind of making stuff I saw. Ninja Turtles. I would take cardboard and scissors and like tape and like make myself like a cardboard shredder outfit. You know what I mean?
That's
And
awesome.
I would do that, and that was and it kind of went from there where I got a little bit better as I got older. I got into sculpting with clay and got into carving things and just kind of kept going with that. And there was kind of an interesting thing that happened where I was working in a warehouse that had like all these like crazy different things in it. It was for special events out of one of the theme parks. So it had like wishing wells and like scenery, flats, all these like crazy different things.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I had like a break or whatever, I'd like to actually take a time and look and see what some of the stuff was on the shelves. And I'd take like, I guess to kind of go dumpster diving a little bit, I'd take pull like a piece of styrofoam out of the trash and have like my little like pocket knife and kind of make like a little copy of like an Easter Island head or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And it was crazy. So I'd start doing these and then kind of leaving them. And some of the like managers and planners like saw us and like, oh, Wayne's pretty good. And you should talk to the dude who's in charge of the fabrication area, Bill. And and then it got to the point where right before the Seas with Nemo and Friends opened up, it used to be like the Living
Oh,
Seas
okay.
or whatever.
Yeah.
They would do this great big like grand opening event or whatever. And one of the like scenes that they had set up was supposed to look like the fish tank, from the dentist's office. So
Yes.
they had two out of the three like tikis carved, and they're all like carved so you feel like the size of a fish. They're like 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall,
Oh, wow.
and they needed this one done like in like 2 days, and everyone on the fabrication crew had like gotten sick with the flu,
Oh,
and
no.
and it was like an emergency, and they're like, well, Wayne can carve stuff. I've seen him. So they ended up like hooking me up with a chainsaw and like like some cans of like Enerfoam, which is kind of comparable to like a grate stuff or whatever to stick it together,
Okay.
and was given like 20 hours overnight to here, go for it.
Wow.
Yeah, it worked out actually pretty well. So they used it. It was good. It was decent enough for use. So
Now
that was
that's a
pretty.
lot. That's a lot of pressure, like right out the gate, to be like, do this. You got 2 days, get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So actually afterwards, the guy who was running that department, told me that he actually taught over at this apprenticeship school, and that was kind of linked to what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I found out that, oh, I can actually go there, and as part of my union membership I could take these classes for free. So I'm like, wow, I love the chance to learn
Oh.
as much as I can. So I went there, I started learning about like faux finishing and stuff like that, and I ended up actually transferring, from the guy who kind of like sets stuff up in the field,
Yeah.
kind of like a stagehand type of thing,
Okay.
to like the guy who's actually in the fabrication shop making the stuff and repairing it when it comes back.
Wow. That's quite the transition for sure.
Yeah. So and it was great because there's so much like different stuff in the inside this warehouse. Like I got to practice on all sorts of different like faux finishes, like rock work and wood graining, and like just painting with airbrushes, painting with gravity guns, all this different stuff.
Oh wow. Now you've worked on quite a few different things too. You worked, like we talked about, you worked on the Tiki Head. You've also worked on some other things with the theme park. You did, like, I saw we had talked a little bit earlier and you had mentioned some of the like giant toy soldiers and things like that.
So that's actually the warehouse. It's the same one, like I said, that does like special events, and they'll do like fall decor and like certain elements of like other, for other things. And one of the things that they put up is those giant toy soldier statues
Yeah.
that are based off of the suits that they had to the people in the parade march.
Okay.
And they were mostly sculpted by my friend Walter. And after they were molded, I was actually there helping putting them together, laying up the fiberglass and
Oh wow.
putting them together and all that. It was actually interesting that when they were filled with foam to kind of fill them up and reinforce them, they were slightly overfilled. So every couple years, or so about every year, they had to be rebondoed at the seams.
So they weren't busted.
They were getting stretch marks. So,
Oh wow.
But yeah.
Now I know you've worked on many things for the theme parks. Do you have any fun stories that you could share with us?
Oh, yeah. So at one point I was, maintaining a couple different rides, or, well, not maintaining them all myself, but doing kind of artistic aspects. One of which was like the Jungle Cruise. So I'd go out there and I'd get a call to like do a repair on an elephant, in the elephant pool, because like the mechanics had to go inside and work on the trunk or whatever. So to fix that, you'd have to bring the skin back together, get rid of the paint that's on the top, and then there's a like modified soldering iron that kind of melts it, and you have to get it back together.
Right.
But to do that, you actually have to wade into that pool of water at nighttime.
Oh, okay. How deep is that?
Mostly it's just waist deep,
Okay.
except for the trench that the boat goes along. But it's funny because you're going in there, and across the way is the fake crocodile on the bank. And,
Yes.
and stuff like, I live in Florida. Alligators climb fences. So you're always kind of nervous about snakes and spiders and all the creepy crawlies that Florida has to offer.
Yeah.
So, I always thought of it as kind of an adventure to work on that sort of stuff, because you're having to, like I said, actually kind of trek through these like paths in the jungle to get to certain things to work on them and all that. So.
And I don't think people realize that you actually have to go into the water to repair them. It's not like you can go in and just take it out, do whatever, and then bring it back. Especially if it's something minor, then you're in waist deep water. And now did they have it lit up for you? Did you have to bring your own lighting to fix that or to see?
It depends on which area you're in, but you mostly have to bring your own lighting with you.
You better get that headlamp.
Exactly. And I had one that was great too, because it had like a little black light on it too that I could switch out if I had to work in like a ride that had like black light stuff.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of jealous. I need to get one of those.
$20 on Amazon.
Nice. All right, let's check that out. Now you've not only worked in theme parks, but you also do some amazing costuming. And dude, I'm a big fan of your work. I absolutely love it. You've done so many cool creatures and costumes, and you've dabbled in like some comic stuff, some horror stuff. What's your favorite to work with? Are you like, do you prefer the comic book characters, or do you prefer like the horror type characters? What do you kind of gravitate towards?
Man, I guess it almost kind of overlaps, really, doesn't it? Because like Swamp Thing and like Army of Darkness, so while they're both like horror movies, they're also kind of horror comics.
Yes.
So I'm a big fan. I love Tales from the Crypt. That was always
Yes.
one of the things that I'm a big fan of. So I guess it really depends. There's all sorts of different stuff. I'm all over the place. Sci-fi, horror. I'm a big fan of the Terminator. So while I don't sculpt everything myself, sometimes I'll like buy like a kit or something on eBay and paint it up.
Okay. You'll kind of modify it a little bit and tweak it to your liking, as it were.
Exactly. So like this guy,
He's so cool.
found him online on eBay, and I put the hair. I painted him up, put the hair in there, and actually added this piece here, the neck, and this here, because it originally just kind of had like a little like space here. So
He's pretty awesome.
thank you.
So you're also, not only are you like sculpting your own things, but you're also taking some of the existing stuff and modifying. And I know I've got some pictures of some of the stuff that you've sculpted, and I want to talk about them. So I thought we could start with, since you've got him behind you, I wanted to start with the thing, and just to kind of show folks, you know, how it kind of goes is you've got your concept, and then you've got this beautiful sculpt here on the left hand side of the screen. If folks are watching, how long does it take you to sculpt something like that? He's so awesome.
He's in the corner there. So, that was something that I worked on. And a lot of the time when it comes to my stuff, I don't always take the time to just sit down and work on it constantly all the way through. Since it's kind of a passion, more of like a passion project. I'll take a little bit of time while like I'm watching TV or hanging out to like do a little something. But I try to, do like maybe one big cool thing a year. That way I can make sure that I'm not like,
you're not rushing it.
Exactly. And I can put in the detail that I want to put into, because, here at home, I have like my little art studio, but it's not like working, at a studio or like a major studio or theme park or whatever, where you have like a warehouse full of stuff and tons of space to move everything around and all that. I'm kind of limited. So, I try to have like one cool thing a year, as far as like when it comes to like maybe like a costume now, but I might make a bunch of little things throughout.
Okay. Now it looks like you've got a couple of variations of him. Is that something that you like to do? Do you like to kind of go back and revisit and just kind of see if there's something that maybe you want to tweak that you weren't quite happy with?
Exactly. That's one thing where as an artist, I'm always kind of trying to grow, get a little better, learn a new technique, maybe, think of how could I have done this a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that'll happen where, like, for example, this guy, he's got like 9 different shades of green on it.
Wow.
But it gets kind of a little bit lost, a little bit, it goes away a little bit. Where this guy, he has about half as many shades of green, but I went over the whole thing with a little bit of purple, like a purple shade, and that kind of being at the opposite end of the color spectrum just kind of really made everything pop out a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, especially the veins, like the veining work or the vines, not veins. The vine work is so pretty, and to your point, it does get lost with all the different shades of green, but the one that you've revisited, those brown tones pop so much more, and you get to see more of that detail.
Thank you. And so it's plus there's also other little things I learned along the way. Lately, I've been kind of starting to learn to make fake eyes, so this one, the eyes are just painted on. This one, I actually did like a little experiment and messed around with the mold and made some fake eyes for him. And you can't really see, I guess, from that distance, but like when it came to like the veins and all that, I actually put in bits of like moss and all that.
Oh, wow.
So kind of red going through, you have like kind of green going through the red. But here's another one, an actual.
Oh, wow, that's pretty.
So
that's fantastic.
Thank you.
So now are you gonna start incorporating eyeballs like that into most of your creations?
I think so. Eventually, when I start making a few more, I'm still working out the bubbles. So that's something I think I need to get myself a pressure pot to put them in. Try to do that. I got. It's one of those things. Like I said, try things a few times, and then kind of learn, how could I have done that better? What are you ask some people how do you do this? And you get to learn a new trick.
So it's not like you know everything off the bat. You're always learning and evolving, and I think that's such a fantastic mentality to have, is to be like, what trick can I learn, what technique can I learn to incorporate into my monsters. And I mean, you can clearly see some of the changes between the original version versus the newer version, especially of Swamp Thing. Now, are you going to redo the entire suit? Like, you've got him in the back there as well? Are you thinking about doing that so that you could wear him again with the new paint scheme?
Oh no, he's all right. Yeah, I'm happy enough with the way he was looking, but it was just kind of, sometimes I'll just play around, just to see how things will turn out. I wasn't dissatisfied with the way he looked. Yeah, I might putter around if I feel like it, and add a little bit more paint work to him. But the mask is made of silicone, and it's a little bit more of a pain to kind of work with, I guess, than regular acrylic paints. So that's where a lot of times I'll make something in plastic first, and then kind of practice what I'm going to my paint job, what I want it to look like, kind of get myself an idea, and then go from there. Because the silicone, it gets pricey. Like just per gallon, it's like $200.
Wow. Okay, so it would make sense then, of course, to practice on a cheaper material so that you know what you want to do before you actually go ahead and apply that paint. And then, God forbid, you make a boo-boo, then you're kind of stuck almost, or trying to figure out how to fix it. I'm sure it could take a hot minute.
Exactly. So it's kind of good to have a little plan going into it and all that. And so
now, how far out do you start the process of creating one of your creatures from? Like, does something just kind of pop in your head and go, all right, I'm gonna make this? So do you give yourself a time frame to shoot for? Like, for example, would you give yourself like a year to work on something, or 6 months?
It depends on what it is and like when I want it for. So Swamp Thing, the funny thing with that was I was wanting to challenge myself. I had never done a full creature suit before. I had done tons of masks and everything. So I was just like, why don't I, challenge myself? I'm going to see what it would take to actually build this full suit. So as I'm kind of working it out, learning as I go. But as I started making it, I found out that the show with Derek Mears' Swamp Thing was coming out to the DC app while that was still a thing. And I was like, how cool would this be if I could get this done right before the show? And that picture was actually at a convention the weekend before the new Swamp Thing show aired on DC.
Wow.
But the suit that I did is actually based off of Swamp Thing Returns, the Jim Wynorski movie.
Oh, nice.
So I out of like, while I love me some Wes Craven, and even love the first Swamp Thing, I gotta say Wynorski's sequel was superior. That's one of those examples where if anyone ever asks you when is the sequel better than the original, Swamp Thing Returns.
That's one. Okay, all right. I'm gonna. You have a love for that one. Now, I would like to, first of all, I owe you a huge thank you. You did one of my all-time favorite horror characters in December, which is Bad Ash, or some people call him Evil Ash or Dead-Eyed Ash, and you were kind enough to gift me this beautiful man here. So, big thank you for him, and I wanted to talk to you about him because, dude, what? Like, I saw you posting on Facebook some of your process, and I just kind of want to share with some of the folks that are watching. I was watching him be built and come to life, and he's phenomenal. So I've got to ask you now, is that monster clay I'm assuming that you're using?
Yes, I love it. Ever since I've started using it, it's pretty much my main thing to sculpt with.
It's, man, let me tell you, like, my husband uses it and he loves it. I know you love it. I know many effects people love it. My hands are not hot enough to work with it because oh my goodness, I'll get it soft enough and then I'll start working, and I don't know if I need finger workouts or what, but that stuff is not easy to work with.
You need Monster Clay soft. They have it in soft, medium, and hard. I usually go with like the medium or the hard. And hard I'll use if I'm like kind of building up like the base of something.
Yeah.
Like that down there is hard.
Okay.
So like it doesn't compress as easy unless it gets heated up.
Okay.
So the soft and the medium are really good for like when you're doing like detail and not trying to use a a lot of movement or
if you're getting into the nitty gritty.
Finger strength.
So I gotta ask you now, how long did it take you to do him? Because there is tons of detail, and I'm gonna rip his head off and kind of show you guys. So not only did you do the headpiece and you did him, but like there's so much detail in this guy. It blows my mind. Like something like this, how long does that take you to sculpt him out to the point where you're happy enough with him where you can just go, all right, I'm calling it done? Because he's magnificent.
Probably, that one, like I said, off and on, it probably like a month or two. If I were to just sit down and work it out, I would be going like at work or whatever, where I'm just like constantly working on it. It would have gone a bit faster. But I actually started sculpting that the night you hosted Army of Darkness.
Oh, wow.
Yep, you were hosting it, and I was like, yeah, why not? I feel like sculpting this. This is kind of cool to do. And that's how most of my stuff starts. It's like, you know what I want? I want this, or it would be kind of fun to. I wonder if to make this. Ghost Rider was. I wonder if I could sculpt flames, how that would look, and how would I make how would I make a cool looking Ghost Rider that looks good in the real world? Yes. And what kind of challenges would I run into with that? And I actually originally I ended up deciding eventually to go with a half of an actual skull right in front of my face, with the flames kind of coming out the side to hide my face.
I've got some pictures of him. Let's pull him up while we're chatting about him.
There you go. So that's actually sitting, like I said, right in front of my face right there. And the flames are going around to hide where the rest of my head would be. When I was trying to figure out like how would I make that look right, that's where I ended up deciding to go on. Originally was going to try to go with a bigger skull that would go all around my head.
Yeah.
But it looked weird. Ultimately, like no one, even Andre the Giant, doesn't have like a skull that like was as big as like to fit like inside my head inside of.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like solving those little problems. But when I figured out when I put the lights inside it, I put those little like string lights.
Yeah.
And a couple LEDs. Just that light coming and shining outward would hide my face and all that. So it looked. I was really happy with the way it looked. I also added made like a collar that had like a bunch of like spots for this vaporizer to let smoke out of. So you can see it a little bit in the picture.
Let me see if I got it in this one.
Like there's smoke coming out. Yep, just a little bit like from behind to the left of the. That's from the vaporizer.
Oh, he came out. Now, what did you do for the lighting? Because I've noticed you've got that lovely lighting that kind of adds that additional, that one step further with it.
So I was messing around with this. I had done a couple of things. It was actually the picture on the right is with a little bit of black lighting, because I made it where it's black light sensitive. So if I didn't have my actual lights turned on, and I was in a black light, it would still look cool. But what I did was for the regular lighting one was LEDs.
Oh, okay.
Lights.
Now, are those better than any other? Would you suggest to use those if somebody were to try to make something and add that lighting effect, or LEDs kind of the way to go?
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't get warm, and it was comfortable. It stayed bright all night.
And they last quite a while too, don't they?
Yeah.
That's all. He's, again, amazing, fantastic work. Absolutely love it. It never ceases to amaze me when I see something you do. I'm just like, damn it, Wayne. But that's in a good way, because they're just, dude, they're amazing, and I'm such a fan of you and your work and all the creative things that you've done, and you've done some really cool stuff, and I know that you're working on some things that are coming up that you're going to be doing for October, I think we talked about. You had some Halloween stuff that you're going to be doing. Can we talk about those?
Move these guys out of the way. So this Halloween, my wife and I are going to be doing a couples costume. We're going to do it more Hellboy themed this year.
Ooh, a big favorite.
Everything is still really rough, so I apologize for not looking a little bit more polished. So that's going to be me working on.
Nice. So you're doing the Hellboy, so you're going to be super red. But on the plus side, you're not doing you're at least going to have the mask red, so you don't have to worry about washing that off, right?
Exactly. That's what I love about silicone masks. You get a lot of movement out of them, and you can just get it on there, and it's comfortable. And like I said, like you were saying, I'm not going to have to paint up my whole face.
Right. So, save the red paint. Save the hours in the shower of washing it off.
Maybe a little bit on this hand, but. I've got a 3D printer this year, a bigger one.
Nice.
So I started messing around and found a file for the right hand to do.
Perfect.
And I'm going to have to do some mods. Like you can see where I started drawing some like swirlies on it and everything.
Yeah.
So the file itself was a really good start off point. But I'm going to end up needing to kind of mod it and get it to where I'm wanting it to go. That's the thing about 3D printing. It's kind of a cool tool to have, but you can't rely on just one thing. It's good to kind of incorporate a lot of things. And
that hand is huge. Oh my goodness. Is that going to be the size? Is it going to be that big?
Yes.
Wow.
It is. Yep. So I'm actually, like I was saying, I like to kind of challenge myself a little bit. I'm planning on making it with a cable mechanism, like in the movie. So instead of just me sticking my hand all the way through it, I'm planning on casting it in like a soft urethane foam or something like that, and actually have like kind of like little puppetry parts and puppet parts and stuff in it.
That's fun. I love that idea.
So we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot to learn.
I'm sure it'll turn out great, because like I said, your other stuff has been great, but you're not only doing one, you're doing two.
Oh yeah. So the missus is going. My wife Jessie is going to be Abe Sapien.
Dude, are you doing the full suit? I'm assuming for her.
I think she's gonna do like kind of like a spandex or something like that for the rest of it.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be doing this part in the silicone mask.
Oh, that's coming along beautifully.
That's why.
Oh, I can't wait. Now, are you guys gonna wear this strictly for Halloween, or are you gonna do conventions and stuff in it as well?
It depends. We'll probably go to a convention or two. And that's what's great about having all this stuff. We had such a good time at the December spooky event.
Oh yes.
Ash and Bad Ash and Sheila, and my wife did such a wonderful job on her costume. She's also an artist.
She did.
And she she spent quite a bit of time on the wig and the dress and working on it, getting it just right.
She looked I think I have a picture. Let me check. Yes, there you guys are. She did fantastic.
Yeah, she really nailed it. And it's funny, my wife and I actually met when we were working together at a theme park about 5-6 years ago, and I'm really glad I said yes when she asked me to the movies.
Oh, so she was the instigator.
Yes, yes.
And now you guys are married and living the good life.
That's it.
That's well. I can't wait to see when you guys complete these two pieces. They're gonna be, I'm sure, just as amazing as your badass and your Sheila. Are you gonna be wearing that at Spooky in October for their October event? Maybe.
I'm hoping so. That's my game plan. So if all goes right according to plan, we'll be there as Hellboy and Ape Sapien.
I can't keep me posted because it was so funny too because I was like, I wonder if we're gonna run into Wayne when we went to Spooky in December, and sure, we pulled in the parking lot and you guys were like the next row over, and I squealed like a little girl in the car, and JD's like, okay, you saw him. I'm like, of course I saw him. He looks amazing. Of course I saw him.
Thank you.
Now,
Go ahead.
oh no, after you.
No, I was gonna say. So the fun thing about that costume was, so I sculpted the mask, I sculpted the helmet to go with it. But the costume itself, I was able to actually find online.
Oh,
It was
nice.
a pre-made armor, but I was able to improve it. So
Nice.
it's one of those things where sometimes it's easier, if I don't, if I want to save myself some time and effort and all that good stuff, like, ooh, there's already something that's kind of close and I can change it or make it to my liking. And so I like the way everything looked. I just kind of need to repaint the whole thing. So it's like, the sculpt is good, the paintwork, that's got to be fixed. And I have it right here, actually, a little bit of it.
And you also did the hands too, so you just didn't do just the face and the helmet. You sculpted the hands out too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Wayne, you're ridiculous.
I'm all over the place.
Wow.
I was able to get a lot of really good reference pictures online. There's this whole Book of the Dead .ws. There's like I think it's a fan Evil Dead site.
Yes, it is. I'm familiar.
Yeah, and so the cape and all the cape and the shirt came with the costume.
Okay.
So like I was aging to the shirt where it was a clean blue shirt. I took it outside and got tons of brown paint and did a bunch of spatter on it to make it look dirty. Same thing with the cape. I ran the cape through the wash a couple times so it actually would look a little bit more frayed and all that.
Dull it down a little bit so it's not so shiny.
Exactly. I added it had like one little cruddy chain across the top, front there, so I actually added ones that look like the ones from the movie and 3 of them like he has. So it's like I said, it's a good start off point, but I like to try to take it to like the next level.
You went some fine detail there, sir. It really did come out amazing. We do have a question coming in from the chat room, if you don't mind. Sure. I've got one of our guy in there, Hell Radio Lives, is asking, is there a process you use in mask and costume making that you find particularly difficult, and why?
It's all just kind of like a process. I guess getting to the point where you're happy with something, it takes a while. Like you're saying, revisiting something. So I maybe I'll spend a little extra time with the sculpt or what have you, or maybe the paint work. And sometimes I'll come back and revisit those. And it really comes down to, I guess, just being happy with yourself and the work you're doing. The rest comes down, making the mold and all that is just process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you've seen a couple of videos on how to make a mold and you kind of understand the concept of it, that's not that hard. But painting and sculpting and all that, I guess, like I said, it's an artist's worst critic is going to be themselves. So
Yes, I can. Yes, my husband is his own worst critic, and he is amazing. And I know, you look at your things too in the same light as with that fine-tooth comb, and you're a lot more critical of yourself than someone like, myself or anyone out there who's not an artist that would be like, wow, that's amazing. And you're like, yeah, but that paint spat right there, That one little dot right there is not right.
Exactly. The tone is slightly off.
I gotta fix that green, I'm telling you. But I mean, it's you guys do some incredible work. You really do. And, please don't ever sell yourself short. And I know that you don't. So I'm just kind of reminding you of that, of how just awesome it is. Now, do you guys, once you've completed your Hellboy, have you thought about your next project? Or do you want to finish? Are you one of those people where you want to finish the one thing that you're working on? Or do you have that one project that you've always wanted to do in the back of your mind that you haven't done yet?
Well, I kind of take them one at a time, for the most part. And I know I'd say, I always wanted to do Ghostbusters when I was younger, but I ended up making like a proton pack like 10 years ago, and I was pretty happy with it. So, nice. I mean, once you've already done something, you end up finding the next thing, and then the next thing, and all that. So,
do you have one in mind that you would want to do in the future?
I'm not sure yet. I'll have to get back with you on that. I know that I have a bunch of like little projects that I would love to finish. Like, so I found these little bug zappers. I think that I bought like a 3-pack of them from Costco or something like that. Okay. And I thought to myself, how cool would it be to have a bug zapper that looked like the telepod from The Fly?
That is awesome.
So, not my file. I didn't design this telepod, but I am definitely going to have a fly bug zapper.
It's going to happen.
That is functioning, so yes.
That's I love that. That's such a cool idea. In a perfect world, if I needed a bug zapper, that's the kind of bug zapper that I would want.
Right? So, and there's all these little things, and like I said, that's what, it comes out to like, I kind of want this. I wonder what it would take to make it, and I go from there. Like another 3D print that I had that I found online that I thought was really cool is the book from The Mummy.
Yes.
I eventually would like to make it a little bigger one. This was kind of an early test print.
Okay.
But it was originally in 4 sections. And you can kind of see a little bit on the back where I didn't finish it as well. You can kind of still see a little.
Oh, okay, the little line.
Yeah, but
sorry, I just called you out there. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I'm pointing out, because I didn't try that hard on the back. I was, it's one of those things where like I'm planning on just leaning this against something, against the shelf like that and looking cool.
Yeah.
But that's something that a lot of people forget when they're working with 3D prints and stuff, is getting rid of that grain.
So has the 3D printer changed the game for you? It sounds like it's made some things a little easier and a little, I don't want to say, I guess faster.
Yeah, I would say so. It's one of those things where, like I said, it's another tool in the toolbox. I always like to, kind of make the comparison. You could probably build a house with just a hammer and nails and wood, but wouldn't you want to use power tools if you could?
Well, I think we all want to. All right, first of all, I'm not allowed to use power tools, but if I was allowed to use power tools, I totally would use power tools.
So like with the right hand of doom, I could sculpt the whole thing out.
Yeah.
That's a good start off point for me, and it'll let me put more of my time into focusing on my
the actual sculpt for the masks.
Yeah.
I got some fun comments. JD's asking if you're going to add a soundbite to the bug zapper for when it goes off. If you hear that little "help me."
Awesome.
Could you imagine? You'd just be sitting outside and all of a sudden you just hear, "help me."
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good idea. I like that idea. JD, do it. So, okay, that's interesting then, because I know quite a few people who have 3D printers and they use them quite often, and it definitely seems to have made things a little easier and a little bit less time consuming. So I'm glad that you're able to incorporate that into your work, and it's giving you the ability to focus more on your masks because, dude, they're amazing.
Thank you.
And I know you're not doing commissions or anything like that, but have you thought about selling any of your creations?
Sometimes I do. If I get people asking enough. My my Ghost Rider mask. I don't have that behind me right now because I had somebody that asked me enough times online. And I'm like, fine, dude, I'll sell it to you. Here's the price. I'll ship it to you. Okay.
We have to wear you. So what you're telling me is if somebody likes your masks enough, they have to wear you down and you may sell it to them.
Probably shouldn't have said that.
All right, don't wear Wayne down, first of all. Marvel at the awesome stuff. Now, have you thought about redoing the Ghost Rider or doing a second one so that you still have your own copy of him?
I have the mold in the garage still, so I'll probably pump out another copy and revisit it. Right now, I have one of the copies of it. I did one that had like the yellow flame, and I did one that had like blue flame, and that was actually you can see if you go and visit Reynolds Advanced Materials, which is where I get a lot of my cool effects from.
Oh, they have them at Reynolds?
Yes, that's where I get like my silicones and plastics and urethanes and all that good stuff.
All right, I'm just going to say this. I love Reynolds, and they're great, but for the love of God, they need to be open on a weekend. Because those of us that work a 9-to-5 job cannot get over there. They're killing us, man. And my poor husband's like, if we need to go to Reynolds, like I'm not even kidding. I will take like a half a day of work off. And I'll run and it happens before we do Spooky Empire normally is I'll take half day of work, I'll run down to Reynolds, get whatever we need, and then I'll run back because I'm just like, you guys need to be open on a weekend, even if it's just for like 3 hours. They would do so much. I mean, not that they need the business, but they would amp their sales. They kill me with that, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they definitely amped up their like personal sales. They're still doing good, they're selling to like theme parks and movie studios and all that stuff. So
they're not hurting by any means. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, it would make my life easier if they would open for like 3 hours on a Saturday.
I hear you on that one. I trust me. There's been many a Saturday where I'm swearing, in the air and shaking my fist because like I need blah blah blah.
And you're just like Reynolds.
And they're the only one that carries it.
Yes, and I mean it's a good thing, but it's also like you guys are killing me. All right, so I've got some more questions coming in from the chat, if you don't mind. I'd like to kind of throw them in. So what was the first mask that you ever made?
First one I ever made was Dr. Doom.
You're not a Dr. Doom fan at all, are you?
Huge Dr. Doom fan. I have a Dr. Doom mural on this other wall over here. So yeah, like it like I redid the cover of like Secret Wars where he's all like anyway.
Oh, nice. Share your nerddom away. Share it.
Dr. Doom fan. So actually, I have one of my improved Dr. Doom masks right here.
Because wow.
Once again, you look at your old work, and I don't have one of the old ones in front of me, but like I could see where like stuff was uneven and not quite sanded down. This is still rough. Blah blah blah.
You wanted to tweak that a little bit and do the man some justice.
Exactly, and that's happened to me multiple times with a couple different things. I don't have one in front of me right now, but I did. I'm a big fan of the Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin.
Yes.
So I did a couple of those, and the original looks really cartoony. It's on like my personal Facebook page. If you look far enough back, you can see it, and it still looks kind of cool, but looks really cartoony. Where like the new one, or the latest one that I did, you could see where I did like texture on the skin, and like it's all
nice.
even, and like where the first one didn't have any texture, it was just kind of smooth. So it's stuff like that where now my masks have texture, and they're they're even or whatever. a
Well,
little more.
you're evolving and you're growing, and as you start to play with new techniques, you're wanting to go back and I'm assuming I'm speaking for you now. I'm sorry, but I'm assuming now you want to go back and you want to kind of take those and go. This would look so much better if I added a couple of things here and there. I'm assuming that's what
You're
goes through.
right on. That's exactly right.
Yay! Awesome.
Like I said, as an artist, you're never really happy.
You're never happy and you're never really done either.
But you're never done. So
Yes. But that's a good thing because then you can go back and you can go, I can do a 2.0 version of this. And I'm going to step him up a notch and do all the things. So, and I am a Dr. Doom fan as well. So I understand the love. I respect the love. The new mask looks fantastic. I liked the old mask too though. And I didn't notice the little things that you're pointing out, but now I'm going to go back and look for them now that you're pointing them out to me.
So, but yeah, and it's funny because like even the one I have now, like if I redid it, I'd probably do like scroll work and kind of add like little regal elements to it that I've seen in a lot of other people do recently that I really like. As far as that character goes. So.
That would be cool. So maybe that could be a future project, like a redo of the Doom, like bringing him back.
There you go.
Because he's pretty cool. Now, I know we talked a little bit about some of your theme park work, and not only do you sculpt things and do you fabricate things and run molds and all the fun things, but you did pyro a little bit too, didn't you?
Yeah, that wasn't at the theme parks. That was outside of it. But yeah, that was a fun experience. I actually had a friend who had a company, and we did fireworks shows and set up barges. There was one was the like Miami Bayside show, so it was this big show with like barges full of fireworks, and that was an interesting experience. Just learning about that and having to learn the safety and just holding a basketball-sized firework in your hand is pretty crazy. So. That's
that wonderfully powerful feeling like, ha 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 ha. If I light this right now, how far do I have to run?
No, I'm not kidding. If get some of those off.
Now, you've also worked on some of my all-time favorite things. You had mentioned that you worked on Madame Leota.
No, I didn't work on Madame Leota herself, but I did work on that attraction before.
Yes.
But one of my favorite stories is from that. I've got a couple of really good stories from that attraction. One of the old timers told me the story of why there's a safety grate between Madame Leota and the cars. Most people don't realize this because the ride kind of throws you off as you're moving. You don't necessarily know where you're at.
Yeah.
But that's on the second floor of the ride. Beneath it's like a maintenance bay. And there's a space between the Doom buggies and the platform that the crystal ball and the table and everything sits on.
Yeah.
And there's about a 6-foot gap between that. And like I said, and for years, way before my tenure, there was nothing there. It was just blank space going down to the second floor or to the first floor.
Okay.
Until a spring breaker thought that they were going to get cute and try to grab the ball and fell 2 stories and broke both their legs.
Oh my God. Okay. First of all, dumb on their part.
Follow the rules when they tell you. They don't want you to get out of the ride. Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle.
Okay. So I'm glad that they put that in because that is a terrifying thing. Now I've also heard stories too of people going on that ride and dumping like their ashes and like ashes of loved ones. Is that like an actual thing? Do people actually do this?
Constantly, like to the point where it's like, oh man, someone did this again. Like and it's I understand people have a deep connection. People have very very emotional a lot of love for that ride. I believe you got engaged there, right?
We did. My husband proposed to me in the stretch. We actually he worked some kind of voodoo magic. I don't know what he did, but he ended up scoring us a private stretching room, and he proposed. So when in the ride, for those of you watching that are familiar, when you're in the stretching room and it all goes, dark after he hangs himself. He's like, there's always my way out, and the lights all go off. So when the lights came back on, the husband was down on his knee. They snuck in, like, a Disney photographer came in and took pictures and all the things. So I have a very deep love for that ride.
Exactly.
I've always loved the ride before, but that is also my other connection to that ride.
So I totally understand people just like feel having this deep, heartfelt, emotional connection. But when you do that, like, and dispose of human remains improperly, they get vacuumed up by the custodian at 3 a.m.
Oh no! And it gets tossed in the garbage, I'm sure.
Granny unceremoniously ends up in a Hoover.
No! Oh no!
And I feel bad for like the technicians too. Or I've had to clean people off of me. But I remember one.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm so sorry. That's a phrase I never thought I would hear someone say. Like, I've had to clean people off me.
Exactly. So one of my technician friends, I remember her. When she has a story from when she was an apprentice and had to go underneath one of the vehicles and work on it, and came up all like shiny, and she's like, "Oh man, I got covered in glitter." And one of the old timers like, "That's bone."
Wow.
So, and it was. So, yeah.
So grandma, who loves that ride so much, that is not her final resting place. do not do that if you are a fan. So that's definitely good to know, because I've always heard stories from people, like, not people that I know, but I've read stories online where people go and they're dumping the ashes or sprinkling a little bit because that was her favorite ride. And really get back.
There's people that work there that have to deal with that.
Yeah. Now, do they, like, I'm assuming they have cameras and they probably see you when you're like dumping grandma over the side?
Yeah, they see all that stuff when people are doing like naughty sex stuff too. That's usually when the hitchhiking ghosts stop the ride. So,
oh, okay. Wow, that's a whole other Disney magic right there.
That's a little secret that not a lot of people know, that when the ride constantly stopping, it's usually not a mechanical issue.
It's usually because someone's being a little naughty.
Exactly.
Wow, I did not realize that. Is good to know. So now every time that happens when I'm on that ride, I'm just gonna giggle. I am gonna cackle, and no one will know why.
all rides, people have issues everywhere in the back of a small world. Anyway,
Yes, all over the park, I'm sure, and I don't doubt it. I've got a couple more questions, and before we get going here this evening, so I've got another question coming from the chat asking if you have any fun mashup costumes that you would like to try.
I would have to think about that. A couple years ago she did Sailor Dark Side of the Moon, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's fun.
I think my wife had talked about wanting to do Ziggy Starfire, like a Bowie Starfire combination. So I got to talk to her about that more and see, if she wants to do that. But I haven't thought about it myself quite yet.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair. Now, I've done like the gender bend thing, and it's a lot of fun doing that. Have you thought about maybe flipping genders on any costumes?
I haven't really put much thought into it, but it would depend.
Depends on the character. Now, okay, I have to ask this question, and this is, my husband kind of brought this to my attention, and I thought that I would ask you. So we kind of did a little bit of a deep dive on your Facebook, and we're Facebook friends, and we're friends outside of things. And I was looking at some of your old pictures, and you did a phenomenal Bucky.
Oh, thank you. That was when I had hair.
That was my next question. Is the hair ever making a comeback? Because there were some pretty good locks there.
Nature is stopping that from happening. Although you can't really tell right now. I got the short, but I'm starting the horseshoe up there. So
I'm sorry.
That was years ago. I was really lucky. Our friend Selman actually had me wear the arm, and I competed in this superhero scramble. It was kind of show off his company at the time was making them, and it came out. That was a cool picture. I was really happy with it. I tell you what, man, it was tough as hell trying to do like an 8-mile 26 obstacle thing wearing that.
Oh, I can't imagine.
At the end. But yeah, that was another thing. I had done some side work in the past, doing some like masks and stuff. And
yeah.
All that. That was, Yeah.
Bucky was awesome. And JD asking, what about a Freddy Krueger Mercury?
That's cool.
That would be fun.
Other people do that though. See that.
Have you?
I have online, and that's one of those things where I try to generally stick with stuff I don't see too many other people doing, or haven't seen anyone do one that I like, and that was the case with Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
So.
I'm the same way. I like to do things, like when I costume, I like to do things that you don't see, like I love my female Cenobite. You don't see her very often. Or my Deadeye Dash. I've never seen a Deadeye Dash. I still have not seen one other than the one. Not saying that I'm the only person that doesn't know to man by any means, but I'm saying like out of the people that I know in the community that I'm in, like I've never seen anyone else do it. Nor have I seen anyone else do Badash. So.
And that was something I thought too. I'm like, I don't think I've seen anyone else do this. And I could do that. I could fit that role, So.
Yes.
And it was the first time I wore contact lenses.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. That was actually the first Sheila I've seen too, by the way, is the Mrs. I have not seen a Sheila, so yes.
I'll have to tell Jessie. She was really happy with the way it came out and all that.
I hope you guys wear those like all the time because they're so amazing. I'm so in love with the whole thing. I'm just like, wow.
They'll definitely make a comeback.
Yes. They'll have to, you know what? You let me know. I'm going to bug JD to do my Deadeye Dash again. Mm-hmm. We'll have to figure out a fun group. I think that would be fun.
And then actually my wife had gotten me the Trick or Treat Studios Necronomicon too.
Oh, nice.
And but I ended up not wanting to carry it around and everything for the day because I already had the sword, so
Is it heavy? Is that book actually like hefty, or is it pretty?
No, it's pretty light. It was, and I've actually kind of crumpled the pages intentionally to give it that old like. Oh, sorry.
There you go. Oh wow, I didn't realize it had all the drawings on all the pages too. Oh,
yes. So
wow.
They were all flat, and I crumpled them and it came kind of frayed.
Okay.
But like I said, just that little kind of crumpling and uncrumpling gave it all the extra look in the world. And I was lucky enough to actually get it autographed by Adam Marcus, the director of Jason Goes to Hell. Which I loved. We were talking about comic books, and I love me a shared universe. And when he actually in Jason Goes to Hell had the Necronomicon on the table and grabbing the mask at the end, I'm like, this is so cool. You're actually getting, this stuff together. So
that's all. And Jason Goes to Hell is I'm a big fan of that movie. A lot of people aren't. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that one. And I'm going to say this, I enjoyed Jason X too. A lot of people hate that one.
I do too. It's one of those things where you don't have, things can be a little bit different. It doesn't, Jason X isn't the same as, part 6. It's not the same as part 2, but you can still like all of them. It doesn't, one doesn't preclude the other.
And some of the kills in that were great. The head, the frozen head, and the bash on the table, the nitrogen.
It was great. That was awesome. I even like the video game scene where he cuts the dude's head off. Like, this isn't working. Let end the simulation and
just bloop.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's so that actually leads me into my next question as we're talking about horror movies. What's your favorite horror movie?
So I don't know if it counts, but my favorite movie of all time is Army of Darkness.
It totally counts.
See, I don't know. It has it has horror elements, but it's kind of more of like an action adventure comedy. Although being in the Evil Dead series, I kind of automatically but it is definitely my favorite movie of all time. I love it. I love the effects. I love Bruce Campbell in it. I love Sam Raimi's direction. I'm so looking forward to Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
My one thing that I want to see, though, especially since I'm hearing that Bruce is going to make a cameo, when you're seeing the obligatory scenes from all these different realities, I want to see Marvel zombies, and I want to see Bruce fighting them.
Could you imagine Ash fighting Marvel zombies just at random?
There was a comic, and if you ever get the chance to look it up, it was Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness.
Yes, I have it.
Yeah, I loved it, and there's a version of Ash that gets eaten by Howard the Duck.
All right, that I did not know. That is amazing.
It's in the second book or whatever, and it's Ashley G. Williams instead of Ashley
J. Williams.
Multiverse or whatever. So that Ash gets eaten by Howard the Duck.
That's
awesome. Give me that, Sam Raimi. That's all I want.
Okay, listen, a lot of people are very meh on Sam Raimi with let's say the Spider-Man movies. Some folks aren't digging it. I love anything that man directs. I don't care what it is. It has a Sam Raimi feel where you're watching a Sam Raimi movie, and he always includes some sort of slapstick because of that love for the Three Stooges that he has. And I have a whole different level of respect for that man for carrying that through, and especially as hardcore as he went with that in Army of Darkness.
Absolutely. And that's really what makes the movie, I feel, especially the scene in the graveyard where you have all the different
skeletons
hands punching him, grabbing his tongue, poking him in the eyes. It's classic Stooges.
Yes. Okay, so Army of Darkness can fall into multiple categories. It can fall into action adventure. It can fall into horror, most definitely, because you have the undead that are, the Deadites that are coming, and it's in that Evil Dead universe. But then it also has that lovely comedy element to it. So I think that's a good, cross-genre film.
I have a second pick.
Okay.
Although it's really close, and I guess as a true horror movie, it's definitely, The Thing. The 19,
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything with Kurt Russell's a win for me.
There you go. but I was just rewatching it the other day, and just the tension in that movie, who's the bad guy, who can you trust, who can't you trust. It's so phenomenal, and Rob Bottin's special effects, they still hold up. I love me some good practical effects, and that was one where I actually even liked the prequel to it when they came out years later.
You know what? I don't think I ever saw the prequel. Is it worth a watch? Is it good?
Absolutely. It's came out in 2011. It had Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it.
Okay.
And it's great. It's the story of the base.
Okay.
That visit, when they go and they check everything out, and that they can definitely see stuff was messed up, and there's the two faces that are joined together and everything. It's how everything got to that point.
Oh, okay.
Find the spaceship in the ice, and then they dig out the thing, and worth the watch.
That's okay. So now I'm very intrigued, and I'll definitely have to track down a copy and check that out, because I do love The Thing, and I do love me some I love me some 80s horror. Mm-hmm. Any 80s horror, I'm a sucker for all of it. Just, I love it. Give me more. I don't care what it is. Even the bad ones, I'll take them.
Well, and that's one thing I can't thank you enough for introducing me to the wonder that is Joe Bob Briggs and The Last Drive-In. So I a couple times when I was younger, I might have seen him here and there, but I didn't know what I was getting. And I really discovered horror through the $5 movie at the video store, rent 5 for 5.
Yeah.
Whatever. That was kind of my thing. So I didn't get to watch as much on TNT or what have you, but
yeah.
I'm watching movies now that I would have never watched Society. I would have never watched Wolf Cop, but I love it. You know what I mean? And just even the lesser, or I don't want to say lesser movies, but the movies that aren't as I don't like as much. Deadbeat at Dawn.
Right.
I've watched 3 times just because I love the commentary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
I feel like I want to like spread the word of Joe Bob, and I promote them and him and Darcy as much as I can because I absolutely love his commentary on every film, and that man is a ridiculous wealth of movie knowledge and history.
I got the chance to see him last year at the Florida Film Festival. Later in the year, it ended up getting postponed because of COVID.
Yes.
But he did this How Rednecks Saved Hollywood. It was a couple hours long, and it was one of the best history lessons. Like, just he was up there at the front, kind of, he'd have like a clip and he'd talk a little bit, and it was like a professor lecturing, and it was wonderful. And he's so nice. Darcy's so nice. They're so friendly in person, so patient. They're awesome. I got the picture with him waving my sword within at Spook last year. So.
Yeah, we've met him a few times, and every time I've met him, he's just as nice as the last time. It's always been a pleasant experience. If you haven't yet, I suggest picking up some of his books that he's written. He's written a couple. They're quite knowledgeable, entertaining, and I hear his voice as I'm reading them, so it makes it even better. But they are starting a new season of The Last Drive-In in a couple of weeks, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
15th of April.
Yes. So it's season 3 of The Last Drive-In on Shudder. If you don't have Shudder, they usually do a 30-month trial period, or 30-month, Jesus, I wish. A 30-day trial period. And Joe Bob usually has like a secret code that you put in, and you get a 30-day trial, and you get to essentially, watch for free, and then you get hooked because it's got all kinds of great horror films. I love Shudder.
It's great. And honestly, I subscribe just for Joe Bob, but then I get pleasantly surprised with all the other stuff that comes on. So.
I do too. I that was the same thing. I was like, oh, Joe Bob's on Shudder. Well, I'm done. I'm in. That's it. I'm in. Here's my money, and it's cheap too. It's like $6, and same thing. I've discovered like a ton of movies, and I was just like, wow, this is where I kind of want to be. I'm down. So, yeah. So, big plug for Shudder and big plug for Joe Bob Briggs. Now, if anyone wants to follow you or check out any more of your work, is there any place that folks can quietly stalk you from the internet?
I have a Facebook art page, so I'll pop up stuff on there every now and then as I'm working on it. I think, and I apologize if sometimes I go a while in between posting stuff on there. My most recent pictures was this dude.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to talk to me, reach out to me. I'm not too hard to get a hold of.
And that was your art page. Is that also under your name, under Wayne Lukash?
Yeah, Wayne Lukash's art.
Okay, awesome. So give him a follow on Facebook. Check out some more of Wayne's work. He's amazing. I'm gonna keep checking in with you because I always like to see what you're working on because it's always something good. So thank you for taking the time this evening and for chatting with us and for giving us a little glimpse into your process.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, and I'll have to have you on again. We'll have to have like a whole movie episode, and we'll talk horror films because that's one of my favorite things to do.
That's awesome. That sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, for joining us this evening. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure that you do so. We do live videos every Wednesday. We're going to have some guests on next week, so make sure that you tune in for that announcement. I think we're talking serial killers next week, so that should be fun.
Good times.
That'll tie in with my my Facebook Live band.
Barbecue sauce.
Oh, I'm bringing the barbecue sauce. All right. Thanks again, Wayne. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, boys and girls, remember to keep it spooky. Bye.